back as well. Once again, feeling very much like the Terminator. I do hope that one of the Saudi filmmakers do consider doing a film, an action buff like the RoboCop or the Terminator. That would be very cool. For the moment, ladies and gentlemen, on a serious note in life, where we are going to be moving on towards the Ministry of Justice initiatives in 2020 National Transformation Program. We are delighted to be hosting Dr. Nasser Saleh Al-Oud. He is the top advisor for the Ministry of Justice, for Social and Family Programs as well. So, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Alaikum salam. Good morning. Happy to be here and happy to cover this very important topic and initiative for the country as well and for the ministry in specific.
Fantastic. It's our honor that you have joined us. Now, Dr. Nasser, do tell us about the Ministry of Justice's 5 main initiatives for the National Transformation Program 2020.
Sure. Actually, in fact, they are 14, not 5, but we cover only 5 this week and probably after like 1 month, because they could just, each ministry has to develop what we call media covering for those projects to get the public get awareness of what's those projects about and how they will be developed. In the ministry, as you know, we are not connected to children or disabled or something or such individuals directly, but alhamdulillah, since 2012 I joined the ministry, and we have alhamdulillah developed almost 18 programs. What you see here is just only 5 of those things. One of them, and very important things, is the helping those children in custody where their parents are in dispute by court order. We are providing such services to exchange those kids in order to protect them from violence and their sociological well-being. Alhamdulillah, we have an agreement with Mawadda. This is an organization to help women and children, mainly in the divorce situation, to such programs. One of them is the called Centers for Custody Children, and I think last week one of the top individuals in Saudi, he couldn't get along with his hiding children, and the court ordered all his services to be stopped, and he's to be jailed because he did not cooperate with Mawadda to show the children to their women only in 5 days. I think this is kind of things that we needed in Saudi Arabia, and nobody get along with himself and get along with kids without being injustice and in court in the city.
Certainly. Dr. Nasser, please tell us a little bit more about this. So it's the initiative to be supporting kids of disputed parents. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, as you know, we almost have, last year actually, 2016, 37 divorce cases, 37,000 divorce. So just imagine, almost 26% of people who get married in Saudi Arabia are getting a divorce. When they get a divorce, you know, there's 3 things happening: the money for the children, and the kids visitation, and as you know, the other services that provide for women, like removing her from his ID, all the stuff. So just imagine, out of 37,000 individual family who getting divorced, of course there is children need to be managed. Let's just assume like we have 20,000. Let's just assume we have 15,000. So those kids, the change in our society, that parents are not all the time agree where they're gonna see those children, and unfortunately the children just be in the middle between the husband and his wife or ex-wife, and there are so many dispute and difficulties that we're facing in the Ministry of Justice, where to save those individuals. Before, like 5 years ago, they were seeing each other in the police department. Just imagine, because they didn't trust anybody except the police department. They get the kids to the police department, and they said, okay, you get my kids and just sign up, and the parents come to the other side and sign up and take their children for 2 or 3 hours, and they got back to the police department. Just imagine how the children will being all those
But
people.
do you think, Dr. Nasser, as we are trying to understand the subject more, do you think that the reason for children to be sent to the police department is because the parents lack, after following the divorce, they lack the trust? So if the mother has the custody of the child, she does not trust the father. If he picks her from the house, he's going to return the child back.
Exactly. That's where we're facing. I'm lucky that I found one of the law that support my idea, and I went to the minister just that days, Muhammad Al Isa.
This was your idea.
Yes, it's not actually not my idea. It was there, but I just tried to provide it, and I said, okay, we have this 18 of the GCC agreement on children stuff, and we have to get the service done. And I said, okay, and alhamdulillah, Minister Walid Al-Sam'ani, he also support that, and we met with Muad, and we met the Minister of Social Affairs in Saudi Arabia, and we agreed that since all the centers controlled by the Ministry of Social Affairs in Saudi Arabia, we can sign up and get almost 35 centers. We're heading now to serve those children among all Saudis, territories and centers. And with Mawadda, with their experience almost 6 years now, and the great service they're providing for those children, alhamdulillah, we get a lot of cases that being resolved. Alhamdulillah, the children are safe. Not to mention, the children sometimes they get violent. They are abused by the children. So who gonna screen those kids and tell the judge that this is the best way to send the children, either his mother or mother? You know, there's it's called takhir, because you're just making the choice. So sometimes it's just by asking the kids. Now it's not asking the kids. We have to go through the process professionally. We have to screen them through Muadda. What do you think the best place for the children to go? Either husband or wife. And alhamdulillah, the judge are changing their mind. Used to before they go to the text and the Sharia text, it's called under 7 you go to your mother, after 7 you go to your father. We alhamdulillah stop that. All the judge are going to the best of the child and what his choice is and what his service to be good, either in his mother or father. So we have this initiative now. It's provide us with almost 65 millions until 2020 from the Saudi initiative programs to serve this only project. So alhamdulillah, we are heading to hire such centers. Of course, they're going to be social workers, psychologists, and people who specialize in law. Almost all of them we're heading, they're going to be women, of course, and alhamdulillah, this is kind of thing that we're providing in Saudi ministry, that the women inclusion. We have alhamdulillah in each personal courts department of women's section, where the woman goes there and try to see what they can be advised in socially or legally. So alhamdulillah, we got this project.
And so most of these different projects and prospects have just come up about on the surface in the past 5 to 6 years.
Yes, actually, I told you, and the before they just go to the either into the park or other person to houses or police department, which is not acceptable. Alhamdulillah, since I came, as I told you, with the help of other people, of course, and the minister, we got this project done, and alhamdulillah, we got a lot of projects, by the way, but this is one of them that we are agreeing with Muadda now. As I told you, Muadda are professional women who work hard on this topic and helping the women in divorce, mainly with the rehabilitation programs such as individuals. So alhamdulillah, all our goals is to just make those children are safe and try to sustain their well-being.
Right. Now, Dr. Nasser, speaking about this milestone that has been achieved through the Ministry of Justice about providing a better understanding and environment for the child post a divorce, tell us about what are some of the new goals and initiatives that the Ministry of Justice is trying to seek for the children of broken houses, of broken families, and what are some of the other initiatives that you would like to share with us?
Sure. Actually, I want to just consume the time. I don't know how much time do I have, but
we have plenty of time.
plenty of time, are you sure? Because I'm going to go move to two, three more initiatives to talk just briefly about them, but I'll just back the children because it's well being talked. And by the way, one of the things that we are providing is try to have a conference within 1 month about the child rights and justice or in court setting. We're going to have speakers from all of Saudi Arabia. It's just 1 day session that we are having just to see what the Sharia provide for children. You can't imagine how things in the text that children rights being saved and help the children to they get well-being. So we have the almost 9 papers that just all focus on Sharia, the rights of children in Sharia, how do you save the children money, like the qussar, the child under age. Yeah. Also, we just trying to review the judge, the thing that they provided professionally. For example, the forensic interview with children. Of course, the judge cannot do all the service by himself, asking the children what do you have and how things been done. So we kind of have those kind of forensic interview services to provide it. So I just tried to get something. Imagine I was in the United States in the child maltreatment and abuse conference. We participated with papers that focus on how do we train the judge and in the kind of the child abuse services. And alhamdulillah, I got those papers presented, and we get all the people just get impressed with the programs that we provided. Just imagine 165 judges being trained in family violence. This is not even happening in one of the country, as I imagine. As some people told me, you got the judge to be trained only in the child abuse. I said yes, we get this done, and we have provided 7 programs. The total is 167. So. That's what we get for the children, but we get something for disabled. I don't know if we get time to talk about it.
Yes,
we
definitely.
We actually have time.
Sure. The second project is what I call the individual with needs and elderly services, home services. So, as you know before, we have called al-iqtida. The iqtida, that means, I don't know how to translate it, but it's something that's when the older individuals cannot come to the court or to get services. We get someone to go to his home, but before he has to provide a full reported the medical report. He has to show that he cannot come, and it was just something that's not organized at the court setting. So I came with the other individuals the idea that why don't we have a truck that provide with all the individuals needed, and including the judge, and they can go there, they can print it, all the paper, type it up, print it out in this court, and stamp it and give it to him. So they said, okay, let's just provide it for individuals who really needed our intermediate cases, and in hospital, something like that. I said, no, okay, why don't we provide for women who didn't have car, for women who cannot come, for women who her husband has died and she can't go outside for a month. Why don't we provide for handicapped individuals? Why don't you provide with individuals who in special needs? So we get those kind of services that it's called the truck that's moving.
You know, actually, Dr. Nasser, I think one of the problems and the lack of understanding about these things, especially amongst the expatriate community, is that most of these things are written even about when in newspapers usually go by in Arabic, or even when they circulate on social media, they're mostly in Arabic. So people do not really understand it, and this is why we are so delighted to have you today on the Saudi Morning Show, because when you speak about all these new initiatives in English, we're reaching out to a lot of the people. It's not necessarily the services that they might be needing or they might be using, but it's the services that they should know about exist in Saudi Arabia and with the Ministry of Justice.
Totally agree. I talked to the media, but unfortunately we lack individuals who speak English. We don't have individuals who write in English. We didn't get like Urban News and Real Daily, all that stuff. So, but very important. And by the way, when I was in the conference, you know how they heard about the judge training? They just got it from the internet, from the Arab newspaper. They wrote about the judge training, and they said, okay, we get it in Saudi Arabia, we invite you to speak in the conference. So I insist that, inshallah, we have, by the way, the awareness programs about Saudi judicial system. And alhamdulillah, we're reaching now internationally. I just talked to Majid Al-Khamis, who is the head of the media and covering department, and he, inshallah, agreed that we get, inshallah, launch programs that reach not only in Saudi Arabia, also outside Arabia, to make all individuals knows that what's in Sharia, what people, how they being productive. And to just get you know that 2 days ago in Jazan courts, individuals convert to Islam because he was a Christian, and when he came to the court, he thought that time the judge will make the case on him, and there's no way, because how come he's a Christian, nobody will believe him, and you didn't believe it when the judge said, I dismiss the case and you are free now, and he just didn't believe it. He said, are you sure? Yes. And he was being kept for almost 2 years there. So this is kind of things what we need to reach out the other world. We need to provide them how the Sharia comfort. Do you believe there is surah about women? There is surah about how do you give people money, and how do you must write things about them. This kind of thing that we need to provide. And in Sharia, they thought about my country, a pair of oil, and women don't drive, and something like that. So this is our job, and I'm delighted to be part of Saudi Channel 2, and I wish I could have time to share one of the story that I was my wife in Austria 2011, and I stopped by one of the motels, and the lady came to me and said, are you Nasser Aoud? I said, yes. I said, I know you. So how do you know me? He said, from Channel 2. I sit down. Wallah, I didn't believe it. Wallah, my wife was shocked. In this village, woman came to us, and she was from Arab region. And I said, okay. How do you know? I said, I show my children, I show the community. I need you today to get free 5 days in my hotel, but I need you to provide services to the community, like talking about children. And I said,
fantastic.
Okay. So he didn't believe it. So.
Well, Dr. Nasser, you're more than welcome to be
back.
coming as often as you would like to make time for media and raising awareness
And
about
as
the
well
Ministry
as
of
Dr.
Justice.
Nasser, to be helping people to be able to understand their rights, because a lot of the people do
That's
not
very
understand.
important, and I wish I could have time, but I promise that I'm going to be part of your programs.
Thank you.
How long have been we know each other? I'm almost 10 years, and I was, almost weekly in Channel 2. But now with that all things, but very important that it's kind of programs we're going to record like this show and show to the people, because nobody have to. Even if we get sometimes individuals from outside, they don't speak Arabic, we show them with translation. But you could just play this tape and they know what's the service we have. Thank you.
Absolutely. And on that note, Dr. Nasser Saleh Al-Oud, we really, really thank you for joining us. It was a great pleasure to be hosting you, and we do hope that, inshallah, you come more often to tell people just about how many rights are present for